Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user SingerAware2658. Am I the a-hole for not taking down pictures of my family in my own home to make my son's new wife feel more comfortable? I, late 50s, am a picture person. I have hundreds up in my home. It started when I was caring for my aunt with Alzheimer's and has just gone from there. I have 3 kids and 4 grandkids, and as you can imagine, I love hanging photos of them up on my home. My middle son, Gavin, 27, is no longer with my 4-year-old grandson, Tommy's mom, Helena. They're still friendly and co-parent well, and I see her often enough because I help with Tommy. Last year, he married Sherry, also 27. After only being together a few months. But she seemed sweet and like she makes him happy. We had no issues until this summer, when my son asked me to take down any and all pictures that Helena was in to make Sherry more comfortable. I don't have any of her alone, just a few of the entire family and a few when Tommy was younger that my son is also in. I said no, it's my home and I like having them up. I certainly have added many with Sherry in them, but it's silly to take some down just because Helena and Gavin are no longer together. It still is a part of our family history. He asked again a few weeks ago and I gave him the same answer and told him that I'd be happy to explain to Sherry, but he dropped it. He called me yesterday and told me that it was the last time he was going to ask. The pictures needed to come down or Sherry wouldn't come to our home anymore. I told him that was ridiculous, and he said that it was important to him because they made Sherry jealous, and it was affecting the way she was treating Tommy. I am appalled. Apparently, Tommy mentioned the picture in my house and Sherry threw a fit, and Gavi says that it's making his life difficult. He brought it up around my daughter, the oldest, and told her youngest sister as well, and they both agreed Sherry is being ridiculous. I told him, if your wife is treating Tommy poorly because of some pictures in my home, then you need to think if this is the right person. Obviously, he disagrees, but has been hounding me leading up to Thanksgiving. My husband is also on the side of we do not negotiate with terrorists, but has also pointed out that they are married and we should pick our battles. I'm wondering if I'm missing the forest for the trees. Opie, personally absolutely agree with you, but I do see your husband's point. If you make these pictures the hill to die on, you might eventually lose access to your son, and you won't be able to talk to him anymore, because Sherry's gonna stop going if the pictures are there, and eventually your son might stop going because, let's face it, she's gonna try to manipulate him, and probably succeed if she's already done so. It would also definitely be a huge red flag for somebody to just demand what my house needs to look like to accommodate them. So you're not wrong in thinking that she is definitely toxic. Regardless of all of that, the biggest concern I have here is Tommy. She took it out. I don't know, she had a fit apparently because he mentioned something. What's gonna happen next? And that's the issue that your son needs to be made aware of. So I would tell him, before I take them down, I'd like to talk to you. And then you make it perfectly clear what can happen to Tommy. Hopefully that'll make him open his eyes. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. I Said You're Stupid says, her insecurities are not your concern, and frankly, if your son is weak enough to stay with a woman that treats his child poorly because there's a photo of his mother in someone else's house, then your son has a bigger problem than taking down a picture will fix. I would take the picture down and then in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner, mentioned that you took it down because you were unaware of her insecurities and that you were saddened to find out that she was taking her insecurities out on your grandson. So you hope she feels better with the picture being removed, but I'm petty like that. Maybe you should tell your son to get a spine instead. Your Daddy 1972 says, not the a-hole. Frankly, if Sherry is having problems with reminders of your son's past, then I question if she won't eventually try to isolate him from the biggest reminder of all, his son. It's his life and there's nothing you can do about that, but it's not up to you to make her comfortable with his past in your home. And Opie responds, yes, I have told him and made him very well aware how I feel about her insecurities. Can't make him change, but I'm not changing my home for her. Intolerable Phlegm says, my dad tried to make my grandmother remove all photos of my mom when he married his new wife, one of the women he cheated on her with. Every time he would ask, she would just add another picture. After the 3rd or 4th time, he had about it and demanded that she consider his new wife. So my grandmother banned her from her house altogether. She reminded my dad that they divorced, but that she, my mom, was still the mother of his children and part of our shared family. He was bitter for years over it, but my grandmother was adamant that she wouldn't be bossed around in her own home, not the a-hole. Juggle Train says, "You are far nicer than me. I would have told him I was ashamed of having raised a man weak and pathetic enough to let his wife treat his son like crap over her own insecurities, not the a-hole." And Dopey responds, "I basically did when I told him he needs to consider if she's the right person. There are other things about her I dislike, but if she mistreats my grandson, right now Gavin said she just makes herself sparse when he's there now, there would be hell to pay." And Nervous Brother 7058 says, "Not the a-hole. This situation has all the hallmarks of emotional abuse on Sherry's part, pushing for commitment on an extremely expedited timeline, overbearing jealousy and possessiveness, isolating him from his family, using his son as a weapon, volatile outbursts. I think it's worth sitting down with your son alone and telling him you're genuinely concerned for him and for Tommy. Unfortunately, if he won't listen, there's nothing you can do. It's a tricky one because you're obviously in the right not taking down the pictures, but there is a concern that she may successfully isolate him if she doesn't get what she wants, and it's harder to leave an abusive relationship when you don't have your support system. I'm sorry you're in this position. It's an unenviable one." Opie's edit. "Despite her horrific attitude and personality, my family was amazing trying to welcome Sherry, and this is how she treats us? Back in my day, lol, daughters-in-law tried impressing, or at the very least not offending their new family. Sherry is just entitled and insecure. This is an almost 30-year-old woman throwing tantrums over pictures. Not only is she simply not my people, she hasn't made an attempt to try. If there was abuse, I would have already called CPS. Sherry has decided when Tommy is there to make herself sparse and not be involved with him anymore. I have told Gavin that's not acceptable, and he says he's working on it, but there is nothing to report. And Helena knows all of this. Also, thanks, I won't be removing anything if Sherry wants to continue this toddler-like temper tantrum. She is welcome to stay home alone on Thanksgiving. If she wants to grow up and realize that she married a man with a child, she can come, but I'll be having a serious talk with my son. My husband and I are well off and readily help our kids financially. He is welcome to cut me off over this, but I doubt that will happen, as we will react otherwise. Of course, I care about my children more than money, but Gavin's actions and how he's handled this the last year have been deplorable to match his new wife. Maybe it's time that the purse strings were cut. We wanted to help him because being a single dad is hard, but I'm seeing it's just less to entitlement on the part of him and his wife, who would rather spend her time at the gym or on Instagram than at a job. They've been living in a land of delusion, and that's going to come to an end. Thank you. Her behavior is abominable. I will let Gavin know that while she is still invited by virtue of being his wife, the first hint of bad behavior, and she will be asked to leave. My home should be comfortable for my family, and she's clearly the one making people uncomfortable. Also, I counted today when I was cleaning. I saw maximum 5 pictures with Helena in them. The fact that this woman is throwing a fit about 5 out of hundreds of pictures is crazy to me. Maybe I'll put up more. The community agrees OP is not the a-hole. Sherry is toxic and she needs to try to help his son get away from her, or at least try to think about having a spine. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. It's been a while since my last post. Gavin and Sherry's divorce was finalized yesterday. We are all thrilled to put this awful chapter behind us, and hope Gavin has learned from it. He said he figured that being divorced was embarrassing, but not as embarrassing as staying married to her. Adults who throw jealous temper tantrums in the middle of a family holiday simply are not mature enough to be married. Also, all the photos that Sherry was in were taken down because they brought absolutely nobody here any joy. I didn't throw them away, they're still family history, but they've been relegated to a box on the floor in our basement. We think we've fixed the flooding issue, but I'm not losing sleep over it. Regarding the straw that broke the camel's back, it happened during a second Thanksgiving a week later, as some people couldn't make it on the actual day. My daughter and I went out to get something, so I wasn't there. But Tommy opened our back door, letting Sherry's dog out, and she exploded, threw a fit to the point that she was banned from my home by my husband before I even got back. From what I heard, it was quite a scene. I mean, I understand that can be upsetting, but our backyard is fenced in and the dog couldn't go anywhere. Interestingly enough, none of her demands came out until we were married. Before that, she at least acted keen on being a stepmom. Still, Gavin has gotten himself into therapy. I'm glad for that for his sake. Sherry is no longer our future, thank God for that. But Tommy would never have been history, nor would his mother. And Gavin can be a ding-dong, but he loves Tommy very much and is getting help so that this doesn't happen again. And of course, he has our support, so he doesn't feel like he needs to be in a relationship if he isn't with the right person going forward. That sounds self-involved, but I promise it's from a good place. I've had a glass of wine, sorry if that doesn't make sense. And Tommy, he's doing okay. He is excited to watch the Olympics with Grandma next week, and we go to school next year, and hopefully doesn't have too many memories of Sherry. Opie's edit. To answer your questions, a quick Google says that in my state, uncontested divorces take 4 to 8 weeks. Luckily, it was on the short end of that. Well, Opie, it sounds like the trash took itself out after throwing the last tantrum, but at least she's out of your life, out of your wall, and you guys can move forward. So here's wishing you all the best, Opie. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user glumchance4225. Am I the a-hole for eating my breakfast in front of my boyfriend's dad? I do want actual fair judgment, so for full disclosure, I do not like this guy. I have never liked this guy. I've known him since I was a kid, and everything about him just annoys me. I don't think I outwardly express it, but he probably doesn't think he outwardly expresses how much he doesn't like me either, and he definitely does. I'm trying to be fair in the way I explain the situation, but he would probably tell a different story. I work at the same company as my boyfriend's dad. I don't work for him, he isn't my boss. He's above me in the hierarchy, but not directly. You have to go at a 45-degree angle to get to him from me. We still see each other often and work together sometimes, because that's just the nature of what we do. After my boyfriend and I first started dating officially, he told me that he told his dad about us, and he said, "You can't date that guy, we work together." Okay, well, nobody needs your permission. He was never particularly nice to me before, but since then, he glares at me whenever he sees me. I do my best to ignore him, but it's pretty unprofessional. Speaking of professionalism and lack thereof, I have been written up twice for tardiness. This isn't a huge deal. It isn't great. It means I probably won't get promoted this year. I am one of those people that think, I have plenty of time. I have plenty of time. Oh crap, I'm running late. Like, the time between doing good and running late doesn't exist. Yes, I know, I have ADHD. My boyfriend, because he's awesome, has tried to help me in whatever he can. He makes these breakfast burritos, freezes them, and puts one in the oven every morning while I'm getting ready. I take them to work with me and eat them during my commute or when I get to the office. Efficiency. This morning, I was standing in the office eating my burrito, loving my life, when my boyfriend's dad saw me. This time, he not only glared at me, he said something. He said, "You don't have to rub it in my face that you're dating my kid." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I know my son made that." I didn't know what to say. I thought the situation was ridiculous. I was also annoyed at him for being such a baby about everything. I took another bite of my burrito. He scowled at me and then walked away. Normally, my boyfriend is 100% on my side. When I tell him about the glaring, he says it's not okay and immature. When I texted him about the burrito incident, he said I shouldn't have taken another bite in front of him. He said that was antagonistic. Was it? I feel like his dad is a grown man and should get over it. Well, OP, I think you're both right. I think his dad should grow up and get over it, and yeah, it was antagonistic. So what? It's not like he's been the nicest person in the world and not been antagonistic to you. So if I was in your shoes, here's what I would do. First, I would talk to your boyfriend and ask him what he thinks about you two, you and his dad, go to HR to solve your differences there. And on a personal level, if this hatred of you or dislike of you actually spills into his relationship with his son and sours it up, that's a him problem, not you. Now, if he doesn't want to go to HR, then you should, but you still should talk to your boyfriend before you do that, or else it could backfire or blow up in your face. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Small Floral Prince says, not the a-hole, but you do lose some points for not dramatically dragging your tongue up the side of the burrito in the most overt, campy, performative way possible, thus making the father so uncomfortable that he stops talking to you about his son at all ever again. Kindly Celebration 223 says, I'm sorry, one adult saying to another adult, you don't have to rub it in my face that you're dating X, means one of two things. He's jealous you are dating X, because he wants to date X, or he thinks you are a piece of trash that's not good enough for his son and hates being reminded you exist. Either way, this needs to be resolved. This will make both your life and your work unbearable. Resolution may include breaking up and or getting HR involved. You have a man in a senior position in the company acting incredibly inappropriate with you because of your personal relationship outside work. If you and your boyfriend have a fight and he tells daddy, you don't think he'll use his position and influence to torment you or drive you out of the job? Hell, sounds like he was ready to knock you through a wall for eating a burrito. Dragon Seafruit says, ask your boyfriend which is worse, you taking a bite of your breakfast in front of someone who has no business talking to you about your breakfast at your workplace, or his father, an adult man who can't stop harassing a younger employee who is not under his leadership in any way, which is not just unprofessional but a fireable offense? The community agrees OP is not the a-hole and that he should definitely go talk to HR. So now let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. Thank you for your support in my breakfast drama. That night, my boyfriend read all the comments on my post. He decided to talk to his dad, which he has done in the past, but this would be a sterner conversation. For context, my boyfriend is a big people pleaser. He loves to do things for other people. When his mom left, he did all the domestic stuff at their house, cooking, cleaning, taking care of his little siblings. I actually think this dynamic was incredibly toxic, but that's not what this post is about. He doesn't like to fight with his dad or call his dad out on his bad behavior. His dad is the kind of guy who is used to other people managing his feelings for him, and he is shocked when people don't alter their behavior to suit his desires. My boyfriend went over to his dad's and asked him to please be nice to me moving forward because we really care about each other and are happy together. I didn't get the full play-by-play of the conversation, but it must have been productive. 15 minutes ago, the dad walked up to me and invited me over for dinner for Friday. So my breakfast drama resulted in a dinner invite. Huzzah! Win! I'm sort of nervous to spend a whole meal with this guy, but I have to give it a shot. Thanks for all the advice and support. Here's hoping his dad isn't as homophobic as I thought and or is willing to get over it for his kid. Well, OP, for the sake of his relationship with his son, I hope he does behave at dinner. Here's wishing you guys the best. Thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user HorrorIron443. Overzealous mother-in-law doesn't respect food boundaries, gets hit with a fart machine. To preface, I love my mother-in-law and value and appreciate everything she does for my family. But she really leans into her role as a grandmother and has said, I'm a grandma, I can do whatever I want, whenever we ask her to respect our food choices for our kid. This means spoiling her grandkids with sweets and treats against her kids' wishes at every turn. Her kitchen has full cookie drawers at all times. I once watched her give my 8-year-old nephew a full angle food cake, just to see what he would do. Spoiler, he ate the whole full thing and then got sick. So, over the weekend, we're staying at her house, and my 3.5-year-old son is very well aware that she'll give him whatever he wants. It's breakfast time, and he's asking for ice cream and cookies, to which I say no and redirect him to his banana and yogurt. She gives him the chocolate chip cookies anyway, and I say, I'd appreciate you not feeding my son cookies before 8:30 in the morning. She just smiles and says, oh, come on, let him live a little. Later that morning, my wife and I are out shopping at one of those beach chachi stores. It's a coastal town, you know the type. And I overhear someone else say, who would want a fart noise maker on a keychain? Well, this guy! My mother in law absolutely hates potty humor, and my son is a 3.5-year-old boy, so yeah, farts are the funniest thing in his world right now. I bring it home and he goes exactly as I predicted. She hates it and he loves it, but she can't say anything because she sees how much he's enjoying himself. The thing has 6 different noises and he's absolutely laying into, having a blast and all around cackling. So my mother-in-law's grumbling about how disgusting it is and how she hopes it breaks, and I just shoot her a grin and say,